Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you. What, is that not how it goes? I'm gonna do it however I want, okay? Which is why I'm wearing a robe, because it's cold and I don't care anymore. I'm gonna do it how I want. This is the 2018 year in review. If I had editing, that would have been a cool transition. However, now that it's after the new year, it'll be time soon for me to start a fundraiser so people can help my partner and I get things like editing software and stuff that we need in order for me to make quality content again. But for now, it's still just me talking at a camera. So what could I do for my year in review? Because usually I would have the month pop up, or I would have little tweets pop up on the screen, or other posts and bonus stuff would pop up on the screen. Can't do any of that. So this year I decided to just consolidate my notes from all the different places that I look at for my year in review, which is typically my planner, my wall calendar, my journals, my videos, posts, stuff like that, and consolidate it all into my wall calendar, which has inspirational quotes. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of having the month pop up, we're gonna start with the picture that was on my wall calendar last year and the quote that went along with it. I liked this calendar because it's all calendar review, because it's non-Christian faith-based, although you'll see some of the unique people who gave the quotes may or may not be Christian, but they're not Jesus-based quotes, and the photos are all nature, like landscapes. So I really liked this calendar, and I was gonna get the same one again for this year until I realized that it was literally the same calendar, same pictures, same quotes, just with the 2019 dates. So I was like, well, that's not really worth it. But if this calendar had been done this concept with different quotes and different pictures, I would have trusted this again. But no, it was just the exact same thing. So let's go ahead and get started. January 2018. This was the photo. Stacking rocks. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so just cozy up, get prepared, get a warm beverage, and throw me on in the background while you're doing something else, because we're gonna be here for a while. All right, so live each day as if your life had just begun. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Pronunciations may vary. January 2018, highlights. Obviously, we're just going through highlights. Back in January, I started organizing things for the collab because at this time last year, I knew I wanted to get things together for the Pagan Perspective collab channel. We already knew we needed to audition for new people. I was setting up some behind-the-scenes housekeeping type stuff for us as current members, some things that we could agree on, behavioral agreements, again, housekeeping type stuff, just how will we handle this when this comes up, what do we typically do for this, so that we could all have a basis to agree upon, so that when we did do auditions, which we have done now this past December, spoilers, we could have that basis to start from and bring new people in with a solid foundation. So that is something that I actually started working on back in January of 2018. I also started revising my Saturn Returns courses because I was planning on offering a third round of my Saturn Returns course in 2018, as well as offering some new courses that I had already been working on in the late part of 2017. I didn't end up offering any in 2018, more spoilers, but I started revising the things and really bringing things together at the beginning of last year, and that is something that I worked on all year. So I did a lot of the behind-the-scenes planning, and hopefully in 2019 we can actually get stuff going. But so I started that in January. I also started looking for online resources like meditations and energy work practices and stuff like that for healing from trauma. This was something that I had been talking with a lot of people about at the end of 2017, and my partner and I had been talking, and I thought we could really both benefit from something like that, so I started researching and just like looking online to see what was available. And I found something that I really liked, which I will talk about as I move on here. I also was preparing to teach elements of magic, the sort of basic beginner class within the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft, to my partner, because we had plans to go to a reclaiming workshop together, another class, in February. So in January, I was preparing to teach elements to my partner, and I did that. I talked about this in my first Pagan Perspective video of the year because we were talking about goals and what we had accomplished in 2018, so a lot of this is going to be repeat. Spoilers. Okay. Oh, in January, I posted a video with my viewer survey results, because I had done a viewer survey on this channel years ago, and I didn't realize at the time that SurveyMonkey would only allow me to see the first 100 results unless I paid for it. After that point, when I started talking about that, someone told me about Google Forms, which now are like my favorite thing ever. So whoever that was that told me about that, thank you so much. You literally changed my life. But back at the time I didn't know, and so I had used SurveyMonkey and I couldn't see everything, so I was dealing with issues with like, what am I going to do? So in January, I just finally went and took screenshots of the results of the first 100 responses that I got, and I turned that into a video, so I could show you the results of that survey, at least as far as the first 100 results. And I didn't even get 200 results, so some people's results were left out because I couldn't see them, but it was mostly there. We saw Love Never Dies, the sequel to The Phantom of the Opera, at Playhouse Square. You can tell by the look on my face how I felt about it. I was not pleased. Also, like, okay, I have opinions about it. I'm not going to talk about it now, but yeah. But I saw it. My partner and I marathoned all of the Harry Potter movies when they became available on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix. Maybe it was Hulu. Maybe we purchased a package. I don't remember. But I remember we, for like 3 nights in a row, marathoned all of the Harry Potter films. My partner had a show at the end of January. My partner is a musician, singer-songwriter, so they had a show at the end of the month. And I also started working on the program that I had chosen that I found online for free for healing from sexual trauma. And it's all based on meditation and energy work. It's something that was provided on this woman's website. She created it. It is not mine at all. But I am thinking about maybe getting people together who want to work on it together, because I definitely want to go over it again. And, you know, obviously it would be free because I didn't create the thing, but just as kind of a way to facilitate helping people go through those things, even though, I mean, it's all there, it's in an ebook, you can follow it yourself just like I did, but not everybody likes doing it that way, and so I just think it might be a cool opportunity since I'm going to do it again, and I've reached out to some of my personal friends who might be interested in it, and I think it just might help people who maybe aren't used to doing energy work by themselves, or maybe aren't used to doing meditations by themselves, or are brand new to the concept of energy healing work, to have someone kind of there to facilitate it. So this is black tea, by the way, with blueberry flavoring, dried blueberries. It's the blueberry black tea blend from the Spice and Tea Exchange, with a little bit of Dryad Tea's S.J. Tucker blend, Pixie Can't Sleep, mixed in. Yeah, so I started working on that energy work, ebook situation stuff at the end of January in 2018. Which brings us to February. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I feel like Grace Helbig right now. Can you see it? Faith makes all things possible. Love makes all things easy. Dwight L. Moody. You can't see that at all. There you go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. February. My partner and I attended a reclaiming workshop, weekend intensive, core class together in Pittsburgh with our Pittsburgh Reclaiming Neighbors. We had a meeting, it's kind of a wrap-up meeting for a kids show that my partner and I had co-directed and co-choreographed and music directed together at the in fall of 2017. We had a wrap-up meeting for it, and we had started planning because they were gonna hire us back to do it again in 2018. So this was the meeting of like talking about what needed to change in order for us to do that, because it was such a horrible experience for me. But I ended up turning it down because it was just such a horrible experience, and I decided to take a break. So, spoilers, I took a break from theater for all of 2018. I turned down multiple theater jobs because I just had too many negative experiences in a row, and I was starting to hate it, and I don't want to hate one of the things that I love most in the world, that I got my degree in because I love it. I don't want to hate it, so I said, okay, I need to listen to my body, and when it gets anxious even thinking about working with these people again or even doing this kind of thing again right now, I know it's not good for me. I'm not willing to put my body through that kind of stress again right now. So yeah, a little lesson in learning to listen to my body, and I said no. On Valentine's Day, I woke up and I went to look for something in my office, and instead of finding the thing I was looking for, I found this packet from one of my family reunions from over 10 years ago that some of my distant relatives had made. It was a packet looking at my paternal lineage, my paternal great-grandparents, and all of my distant family and extended family that descended from them. So my grandfather and his like 8 or so siblings, and everybody who is descended from them. It was this packet full of it. And that led to me instead spending all of Valentine's Day while my partner was at work researching my family lineage and doing some ancestral healing work. And I then started like looking up some stuff on Instagram and learned that some people have a practice, specifically, typically people of color and indigenous people have a practice of basically decolonizing Valentine's Day. And they called it, like the thing that I saw, it was actually an advertisement for an event that was happening in Hawaii called Love Letters to My Ancestors, or some of them were Valentines to My Ancestors. And it's this practice of decolonizing the holiday and like what it's become, and getting back in touch with your roots and talking about the difference between heritage and culture and healing ancestral ties and all sorts of things that came out of this. And I journaled about it, and I was like, this is just really cool. I can't believe that this, you know, came out of me just randomly finding this packet. So I did feel like my ancestors kind of reached out to me that day and said, here's another way to look at Valentine's Day. So that was cool. I saw Black Panther like right after it came out in February. I read Turtles All the Way Down, John Green's newest novel. I celebrated the anniversary of Tempest Smith's death on the Pagan Perspective collab, because we had a week where we were talking about, we were going to be sharing a piece of poetry or liturgy that was important to our path. And I thought I was going to share something totally different, but I ended up finding in the front of my Book of Shadows the pledge, I remember Tempest Smith, from, I think it was from the Pagan Pride Project, and realizing through the process of like deciding, oh, I should talk about this in the video because this was such a big thing for me when I was first starting, and it's like one of the first things that I copied down into my Book of Shadows over a decade ago, realizing that the day I was doing that was the anniversary of her death. So that video is on Pagan Perspective as well. Some fun stuff that was written in my planner. I kept track of a lot of movies that my partner and I were watching, which is why I remembered the Harry Potter marathon and stuff, and when I saw Black Panther and things like that. But also, I noted the day that we finished watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when we finished all of the available episodes. So that's a thing that I've now seen all of. Love it. And then we went to Pennsylvania with my partner's mom to pick up their new RV. My partner's parents bought an RV, so we went with them to pick it up. Brings me to March, which has a little bit of bled through marker that I had used in February, so I stopped using permanent marker on this calendar after this point, but we've got some nice tulips here. March, cheerfulness is the atmosphere in which all things thrive. Jean-Paul Richter. So in March, what happened? What had happened? Oh, one of my favorite exercises in the healing from sexual trauma work was this, like, it's basically creating like a flow chart or like a web chart or a mandala for illustrating your support network. And it became one of my favorite exercises because I bombed it. That's not even, I feel that I did very poorly at it, but really it was amazing. It's the best thing that could have happened because I realized in my first attempt to do this illustration of my personal support network that I was lying to myself like crazy. I was putting people's names on it that I thought should be there, or who I wanted to be my support network, or who I would feel bad if I left them out, or I thought that they would want to be there. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? Like, that's not what this is about. And so I did it horribly, and because of that, it was perfect. That's exactly what I needed to learn about myself at that point. Is that, and again, my intention for 2018 was truth, capital T truth. So this was a moment where I was like, girl, you are not telling yourself the truth right now. You are lying to yourself. This is not your reality. This is not even your ideal reality. This is like what you think other people want you to write down. So that became one of my absolute favorite exercises, and my first attempt at it was in March, and I took a break from doing that work for like a month or two after this because I was just like mind blown by it. I needed some time. I did a little fire release ceremony with a shamanic practitioner who I know through a group that I'm in, and she was wanting to start offering things like that for people. So she was doing some free sessions, and I got together with her and did it. And it was nothing really different from what I do myself, but I hope that it helped her. I haven't heard from her since then, so I hope that doing that for a couple of us helped her figure out what she wants to do. I posted my Dittany Beauty review on my channel, finally, after getting the box of goodies from them, Lauren, back in like November or December of 2017. I finally got around to posting my review of it in March, so you can see that on this channel. I'll try to put some links below to any videos that I'm actually referencing. I think I can do that for you. My partner and I went to see the new touring production of Rent in the middle of March, which we were pumped to go see because we both love Rent. And we were both disappointed. I'm just going to leave it at that. St. Patrick's Day is our anniversary. So it was our first anniversary. So my partner and I recreated the first time that we hung out together at my house, where we made vegan pizza and watched The Wiz. So for our first anniversary, we also had vegan pizza, but instead of, previously it was a frozen vegan pizza the first night we hung out. This time it was a handmade from scratch, except that we did use a pre-made vegan crust. I was not making my own crust at the time, but I do now, or I can now. Not that I do it that often. Homemade vegan pizza, watched The Wiz, and we also got almond milk Baileys because St. Patrick's Day. So Baileys, and ever since they came out with an almond milk version, I'd been wanting to try it, but I wanted to save it for a special occasion because it's a little higher on the price point. So our anniversary is a good occasion. So we did that. And then the next morning, because my partner had to work all day on our anniversary, we just had dinner and watched The Wiz that night. And then the next day they had off, so we had anniversary brunch. We had more pizza. We made a homemade vegan breakfast pizza with tofu scramble on it and stuff like that. And watched Coco, which is such an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it immediately. At the end of March, my phone broke. My old phone broke. Cannot turn on. Can't access anything on it. That sucked. And my partner had another show at the end of that month. April. Don't worry. In the early months of 2018, I was taking a lot of notes on more things. The rest should go a little faster. April. Wisdom is oftentimes nearer when we stoop than when we soar. William Wordsworth. Okay. April. We went to the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for my first time. It was for a big event, so it was free. It was for like the anniversary or something. Or no, it was because of the induction. Yeah, it was because of the induction. It was my first time ever going. Had a great time. Oh, we went to see, somebody got us tickets to go to the Beachland Ballroom, which is on the east side of Cleveland, to see Philip Phillips, who I guess was on a competitive music singing show, American Idol, maybe? I don't remember. Didn't know anything about him because I don't watch those shows, but there were a lot of people there wearing exactly the same things. So I was like, okay, I'm getting an idea of like the style and the aesthetic of the people who listen to Philip Phillips. But oh my God, we had a really good time. He was very funny. He actually reminded me of my brother a lot in personality. Seemed like a very cool, down-to-earth guy, and we enjoyed his music. We did not enjoy the opening acts as much, although one of them was one of our friends' bands who we loved, but the opener, like the first group, was not great. Unless I'm mixing that up with a different time we went. I'm totally mixing that up with a totally different time. That was a different venue. That was House of Blues. I can't keep track. Anyway, Philip Phillips turned out to be really fun. Okay. I also got my new phone that day, but I didn't actually start using my new phone for 2 days after that because I had gone like 3 weeks without a phone at all. So when I got it, I was like, you know what? I don't really need this right now. I was kind of enjoying not having it. So yeah. I started organizing my crystal collection in April and going through, I had a bunch of crystals that my mom had given me that I had never even gone through. So for like the rest of April, for at least 2 weeks in April, I think my main thing that I was spending my time doing was researching crystals, identifying crystals, learning new things about crystals, and I was posting about it on my Patreon. So there's like a couple posts on my Patreon from that time that if you're one of my sponsors, you can see like stuff that I was learning about crystals that I didn't know before. So if you're sponsoring me on Patreon, you sometimes get to learn fun things that I'm learning. I'm doing all this work and you get to learn stuff. So there you go. We saw The Humans at Playhouse Square. It is a straight play, which means it was not a musical. For those of you who don't know the theater terminology, a straight play doesn't necessarily mean that it's a drama. It just means that it's not a musical. But in this case, it was a drama, and it's the best thing we saw all year. Hands down, we loved it. And it just kind of goes to show you the kind of like weird artsy person I am, that the show that I loved best is probably the show that the rest of the audience around us, and we went because my partner's parents have season tickets, so when we go, we're usually surrounded by a lot of the same people because it's all the season ticket holders. And so you can tell, like, when you're walking out and you're hearing people talk how their experience was. That show was the one I think that confused the most people, that disappointed the most people. They just like didn't get it. It's one of those dysfunctional family dramas that is just like, you know, classic American theater. I don't remember if the playwright of this is American, but you know, it just makes me think of those things like Arthur Miller and like Henrik Ibsen's A Doll's House, which is not American, but that same kind of dysfunctional family drama that has such amazing symbolism in it. And like, oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The Humans, highly recommend. And then my depression kicked in later in April, and I don't know that it's really gotten better yet, but there have definitely been moments of betterness. Betterness. May. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Ralph Waldo Emerson. I love this one. Posted this on my Patreon too at the beginning of May. I was like, this is the new quote and picture for the month, and I love it. In May is when I started reading multiple books about tarot at the same time. So I went from having an obsession of learning about crystals to learning about tarot exclusively and intensely for like at least all of May. But I think it continued past that. We went to Cleveland Veg Fest for the first time in May. I met some cool people. I saw some old friends who I hadn't seen in a long time. Yeah. We went to see the Broadway Aladdin at Playhouse Square, and I have feelings about it. It was kind of fun though, but also we had just directed a version of Aladdin recently, so yeah, I had some feelings about what the new Broadway production decided to do, but it was fun. It's a flashy, fun show, and it's Disney, so people loved it. We went to my partner's nephew's graduation dinner. My grandma turned 93 on the new moon. We went to my partner's parents' house to help them open up the pool at the end of May, Memorial Day weekend. And then, yeah, that's all I had in May, because May also is when I started my hiatus from my channel, because I was going to post videos about VegFest, which happened at the beginning of May, and all of the technological issues and stuff like that that I was having, which started the time period after which I have not been able to edit my videos and stuff. That all started in May, which kind of led me to be really upset about what I was able to do content-wise, and so that started my hiatus of not posting any videos. June, we have this beautiful desert plateau type situation, canyons, and a quote from Francis of Assisi. So this is why I said some of them might have to do with Christianity. It just says Francis of Assisi, but he's Saint Francis. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. All right, June. Went to Cleveland LGBTQ+ Pride, to the Pride Parade, which is the first time I had ever done so. It was freaking cold, and standing downtown, like you're in a wind tunnel, it was freezing. I did record like most of the parade, but in order to get a good view, you had to be like right out at the edge of the street, and the wind just whipping around the buildings, and my hands were like frozen in place holding the camera. It was less windy and less cold if you stood back against the buildings, but then you really couldn't see anything. So, compromise. My cat turned 10 in June. She has a double Gemini. It's the first time I've ever had a cat whose exact birthday I actually know, because I adopted her. I rescued her from the shelter, and the previous owner had supplied that information. I'd never had a cat where we knew that kind of stuff before, unless it was one that our cat had a litter and we knew when they were born. But yeah, so it's the first time I knew my cat's actual birthday. So she turned 10. And she's a double Gemini. I looked it up. Sun in Gemini, moon in Gemini. A little weirdo. I love her. My moon is also in Gemini. So we went to a music festival, a local one, a small one, and I was miserable because my depression was horrible at this time, and I was trying to have a good time, but it was rainy and cold, at least the one day, and I was just freaking miserable. I'm not gonna lie. I was not fun to be around that weekend. But we saw Twiddle, who are amazing, and we saw, there was one other one I was going to mention before this last one, but now I don't remember. Oh, Modest Yahoo. It's my first time seeing or listening to Modest Yahoo, and I really enjoyed it. The big one I was going to mention, though, is we saw Ex-Ambassadors, and they made me cry because they dedicated the song Renegade to anyone out there who has ever felt marginalized by any identity they hold. And they used their time on stage to really send a message of love and peace and acceptance, and to say that, you know, they will use their platform to spread their message and their view that no one should ever be marginalized or mistreated, discriminated against, whatever, on the basis of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity, anything, like ability, just life background, experiences, you know, anything like that. And like I said, I was miserable that weekend. I was not having a good time. And then they got up there and were talking about this and talked about how, you know, they will not allow themselves to be silenced, that they will use their platform and their privilege to spread that message and to help others. And then everybody was singing Renegade with them, and I cried. I just cried. So, Ex-Ambassadors, pretty sweet. My mom came to visit in June, which is her normal visiting time. My brother was also here for a little bit, and June is when I got back into working on the Healing from Sexual Trauma ebook work after taking a break from it. Visited with my mom and my brother. Yeah, my mom stayed with my grandma for most of the time she was here, and I just like went to see them a couple times. But then the last few days she was here, my mom stayed with us, and we took her to the West Side Market in Cleveland for the first time. She had never been there before, and I had only been there since we had lived in Cleveland. So that was fun. We got to show her like where we get a lot of our produce and vegan fudge, and my mom bought tea for us, and we split it, so she took half of it home. It was a loose leaf, local company. I'm not gonna remember the name of it right now. Stone Leaf, there's something, I don't know. I have the box up in my cupboard. But anyway, and then at the end of June, I journaled about how I just felt like I wanted to start over. Like I just didn't know what I was gonna do with my channel, not being able to do what I wanted to do, and what I was doing with my courses and what, just everything. I just felt like I wanted to start over. Like I wanted to not have 10 years of experience on YouTube behind me of people expecting certain things from me or having done things a certain way. And I just wanted to kind of start over. I don't know that I'll be doing that, but that's what I was feeling at the time. July, pretty. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. Helen Keller. July. I met Lauren from Dittany Beauty and her best friend because they were up here in Ohio, and Lauren is originally from Ohio, so they were up here visiting, and well, her friend still lives up here, but anyway, they met up with me at a little cafe in Cleveland for tarot readings. So I did her best friend's first tarot reading ever, and I felt like it went amazingly well. I was very happy. And then Lauren's reading was incredibly difficult, and I felt like we were just struggling through it. Like I didn't know how to say anything differently than I did, and Lauren asked very good questions, and there was one card that was just confusing the heck out of me, but then she said she loved it, so she said it went well. I don't believe her, but you know, sometimes as long as your client thinks that it went well and it was helpful for them, we don't have to know what it was about. That's not necessary. We went to the Great Blue Heron Music Festival in New York for one day. We could only make it for one day, unfortunately, because of work schedules and stuff. But we got to meet up with a few of my partner's friends. It's a festival that they've been going to for years, and they know a lot of people there. But this year was very different. A lot of them are, you know, they're married now, or they have new jobs now, or some of them have babies now, so they can't just like stay up late partying all weekend like they used to. So we got there just in time to meet some of my partner's friends before they left. But we listened to some good music. We had some bomb-ass curly fries that we saw like from the potato being peeled and spiralized to the finished product in my stomach. Watched the whole process happen. That was really cool. My partner had another show. I got Thorn Mooney's book, Traditional Wicca. It came in the mail, I guess, earlier, but I didn't see it or actually receive it until the 9th. And then on the 14th, I was doing something else, checked my email, realized I had a last-minute email from the night before from the Buckland Gallery, which is not very far at the time. It's going to be moving, but it was in Tremont. And the email said that Thorn was going to be at the Buckland Gallery that day at like 3 o'clock. And I looked at my watch. I didn't look at my watch. I looked at the clock on my computer screen, and it was like 3:10 at the time that I read that email. So I was like, shit. So I ran downstairs, got my shoes on, hopped in the car, and got over to the Buckland Gallery as soon as I could to hear Thorn speak and hang out with Thorn and get my book signed. And one of my friends was already there, and I was like, the fuck, why are you here? And you didn't tell me this was happening? And they were like, I thought you already knew. So then afterwards, we went out for lunch. Not with Thorn. Thorn had to leave. But my friend and I and my partner went out for lunch afterwards. Lots of hanging out with my grandma. I always have the days that I went to hang out with my grandma marked on my calendar. I tried to go every other week. My partner had another show, and then we finally saw Hamilton, which is definitely the best musical we saw in 2018. I was so disappointed by so many of them, but Hamilton, I loved. It lived up to the hype for me. I really enjoyed it, and okay, yeah, this week in July was pretty awesome for me, actually. It was a great respite from feeling like crap for so many months, because we saw Hamilton, and I loved it, and then 2 days later, we found out early in the morning, my partner was at work and like looked at something online and realized that Jason Mraz was in town and had a concert that evening not too far from us. So last minute, like that was also their payday, and they were like, I just got paid, do you want to go see Jason Mraz? Because Jason Mraz is one of my partner's favorite musicians and a big influence. And I was like, fuck yeah, I also love Jason Mraz, let's go. So we last minute decided to go see Jason Mraz in concert, walked our asses to the concert. So I wore walking shoes, because I knew, because we had also walked to Veg Fest, I knew that I was going to need my good walking shoes. Walked our asses there with t-shirts for the donation, because they were doing a donation drive, and also canned goods, because they were doing a drive for the Cleveland Food Bank. And the concert was amazing. The last song they played was one that I was really looking forward to hearing, which is one of his newer songs called Have It All, and it's based on some Buddhist prayers and sayings, so look it up if you're unfamiliar with it. I love that song. And then just at the concert finished, and there was a big like I don't know the word for it, it's not a ferry, like a cargo freighter basically coming down the river, and it like laid on its horn as it was going by the concert, and it was perfect timing because they had just finished the song, and then it hit the horn, so there was this big horn blast, everybody's cheering for it. And then as we all start leaving the venue, which it was an outdoor venue by the way, as we start leaving the venue, downpour. It just started pouring rain, and we had walked there. So that was interesting, but we ended up walking home in the rain. But you know, it was fine. We were in a fantastic mood, so it was fine. And it was warm rain, so it was good. There was a lantern festival They called it the Asian Lantern Festival held at the Cleveland Zoo. So we went to that. We actually had gone a previous day to see it during the daylight, but this is the time that we saw it at nighttime, and we saw all of it because it wasn't all open before. And then Dan and Phil were in Cleveland at the end of July, but I did not go see them because it is far too much money. So there's that. August. Take rest. A field that has rested gives a bountiful crop. Ovid. Let me just check the time here. I want to make sure my phone's not going to die. I think we're okay. All right. So August. Not a lot going on in the beginning. And then I just had a really stressful week leading up to my birthday weekend because my birthday weekend was also a talk that I was giving at a UU church in Southern Ohio. And there was a lot of stress with getting that organized last minute. And there was people who said they had been trying to talk to me, but I didn't actually receive any communication from them. And then they were talking to other people saying, I tried to talk to her, she didn't answer me. Oh, I tried to do this, I talked to this person, and then someone would tell me something, and I was like, okay, that's done. But then the person that I had sent the information to, that I was told I was supposed to give the information to, didn't give the information to anyone else. So then they were messaging me like, where's this information? I'm like, what do you mean? I gave it to you guys a month ago. Why don't you have it? So it was just this big mess with like communication issues. And so that gave me a lot of stress and also prevented me from finalizing my actual talk that I was going to give. So I went into the weekend for my birthday, which the plan was to go to the Ohio Serpent Mound. And we were doing this talk at the same time because it was also in Southern Ohio. And just went into it super duper stressed and didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And then we went to the Serpent Mound. I had an experience and I had a great day and also not a great day at different times. And then we got to the campsite and it was fantastic and I felt great. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to redo my entire talk for tomorrow morning at the church from scratch right now. I'm going to pull a Thorn Mooney and get out my journal and handwrite the damn thing. Forget everything that was on my computer. Forget that I brought the computer with me. I don't need any of that. I just got my notebook. I'm going to rewrite the whole thing by hand right now and that's going to be it. And I did, and it was better than anything I had been slaving over for months. Go figure. So then it was great. And it worked out great. But the week leading up to that, we also met up with some friends at the Tabletop Game Cafe, where I had never been, and where we have not gone back because it's kind of expensive to hang out and play games. If you have the games, you could do that at home, but the appeal is that they have a ton, they have hundreds of tabletop games, and then you don't have to buy them. Just everybody has to pay $5 to go, and then you buy food and drinks and whatever. They had really awesome vegan, like, milkshake type things, though, so I really enjoyed that. And then my partner had a show on my birthday, which was not ideal, but the people who ran the venue, like, gave me my own little special table. They bought me flowers. They set the whole thing up because they wanted my partner there that night, even though they knew it was my birthday. And they were like, all right, we really want your partner to come play. We know it's your birthday, so we're going to make it into a special date night for you. You're going to have stage side seating, all of it. Like, they really made it nice. So that was very nice of them. And then we had another show there the following week. I did my talk at the church, of course. I went to Cleveland Area Pagan Pride for one day only. Hung out with Bonnie, got my birthday gift from her. We were going to go camping another time after that, but that turned out to be a horrible experience, so we turned around and left. And I felt horrible about it at the time, because it was basically me having a panic attack that was part of the reason we did not stay. So we didn't get to see my partner's friends, but I was like not having it. So we turned around and left. And I also finished the Healing from Sexual Trauma work in August and finished up my mirror book that I was using at the time and started a new one. And we got a new TV and a new Xbox at the end of August because ours died. Suddenly, it just died. September. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. We were making plans to go to Salem, Massachusetts with a friend in October. In September, we started making those plans. And it was very, yeah, we can do it. Oh, no, we can't do it. Yeah, we can still do it. No, we can't do it. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do it. No, we absolutely can't do it. So I didn't go to Salem. But that's how September was, making the plans for it. September 1st, I posted my hiatus favorites video, my comeback to my YouTube channel, and my uncle also passed away that day. Then I was sick the next week. Not a lot going on in this month as far as what I wrote down. I wrote a mini essay on the craft and what we can learn about it as real practitioners, what we can learn about various witchy media. Mine happened to be about the craft, and other people wrote about different things for a project that Sheldon and Ashley were doing for their publishing company. And I don't know if anything has been published for it because I haven't heard about it since I turned mine in. So, but there was that. Finally posted my review video of Thorne Mooney's book, Traditional Wicca, in September. My partner was going to go see Bone Thugs and Harmony with their friend, but that didn't work out. We went to a Skillshare with our Reclaiming Pittsburgh friends, which brings me to October. Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher. William Wordsworth. We tried to watch 31 scary/Halloween movies in October. We did not succeed in watching one every single night. Here are the ones we did watch. These were on Netflix. Some of them were DVDs. The Shining, I had never seen it before. Interview with a Vampire, which I had seen before. Darkness Rising, The Witch, The Cube, Beyond the Gates, Hold the Dark, The Haunting of Molly Hartley, Seven in Heaven, which was fantastic, The Boy, Hellraiser, Oculus, which was fantastic, Blade, Malevolent, Zombieland, classic, Apostle, which I also really enjoyed, The Vault, Hocus Pocus for the anniversary, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which we watched for the first time. I watched for the first time last year. Loved it. Ghostbusters, the new one. And then we watched The Others, which is one of my favorites. And obviously there were some nights that we didn't watch a movie because that is not 31. What else? I worked on my witchy boxes and art for them, which they still have not been posted because of reasons, but I was working on them. I did some readings for myself. One of my college friends had a baby girl in October, her first daughter, her third child. A lot of my friends and people that I follow online and people that I know had babies in 2008. S.J. Tucker's baby, Aiden Dowling and Jenna Lee's baby, and also someone I follow who follows me, who I've worked with in one of my Saturn Returns courses, who is a belly dance instructor, had a baby last year as well. Carved pumpkins. Oh, I missed one of the movies. 6 Souls. That was a good one. It's written sideways because there was something else on that day. We went to carve pumpkins with my partner's friends. Well, really, my partner's nephew and his girlfriend, who are kind of like family, but also friends. Some of the only family that are our age. Didn't end up going to the Ohio Renaissance Festival. I wanted to, but we didn't end up making that happen. November. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. Henry David Thoreau. There's some news here that I haven't told you, so I want to wait to do that part, but that's a lot of this month. So the stuff that's not that, I started having insomnia in November, still have it. Apparently at 3 months is when it's considered chronic. Fun fact. I voted in November. We saw Bohemian Rhapsody, the film, about Freddie Mercury and Queen. We saw Les Mis at Playhouse Square, which was perhaps not the worst. We got a new washer and dryer. Finished working on my witch boxes and started typing up the information for them at the end of November. I attempted to make a vegan pumpkin pie for the first time and it didn't set. My second attempt was successful. So I figured that out. My partner's birthday is in November as well. And then December, the secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. And I looked up the pronunciation. This is an Athenian philosopher person. I looked up the pronunciation and of course now I don't remember it. Thucydides? Thucydides? I don't remember. I don't remember. If we meet him in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, then I will know. Or I'll ask Angelo. Because those are the two sources from which I learn all of my proper Greek pronunciations. Angelo Nasios and Odyssey. In December, we went to Spirit Apotheosis, formerly known as Spirit Apothecary in Bedford, Ohio, to finally spend my gift certificate that I had gotten winter solstice of 2017. Finally spent that. I had some really weird dreams. We had our first Vegan Pagans of Ohio Cleveland area event. I met Deborah, the person who organizes it for the Columbus area, so Southern Ohio, at VegFest in May. And so we started collaborating because there are a lot of Northern Ohio members in the Cleveland general area. And so, yeah, we're working together on that. So we kind of have dual events in Northern and Southern Ohio for the vegan pagan community. There's a Facebook group for it if you are vegan and pagan and live in Ohio. Or live close enough that you would come to the events, I suppose. We had a dinner with the staff of the library that my partner works for. It was my first time going to a hibachi grill, which we couldn't eat anything on the menu. And the bartender in the separate section, the bartender was vegan. And so she was helping us like navigate the menu, and I had a lychee martini, which was fantastic. I don't drink a lot these days, but I was like, hell yeah, I want a lychee martini. That sounds amazing. If you like super sweet things and you like lychee, highly recommend. But she was helping us, and then we told her we were meeting up with some people and we were gonna sit at one of the hibachi tables, and she was like, why would you can't eat anything on the hibachi menu and you're just gonna smell like meat. Like, why would you even sit over there? And I was like, well, thank you, but we're here for a staff dinner. So, but she was very helpful. And it was cool to like watch them juggle stuff that I don't eat, but you know, just like the artistry of it and the performance quality of it was cool to watch. So I can appreciate that. And then everything else on this calendar has to do with the sad news that, if you've seen my recent video, Remembrance, you know that I spent my winter solstice at the hospital with my grandmother because she had another stroke. And long story short, a few days later, she passed away. And then my mom flew in. She couldn't get a flight for any earlier. We were hoping that Grandma would still be around for her to say goodbye, but that was not the case. So my mom came after, and also my other cousins who live out of state came after as well. So I spent that week back and forth between Grandma's house with my family, having Christmas Eve dinner with all of them in her honor and in her memory, to spending a day at home and trying to sleep, because with all of my insomnia and, you know, around Grandma being in the hospital and not really knowing how much longer we had, I definitely didn't sleep. And then being back with them and trying to be home, and so I kind of switched on and off as much as I could. And then we had the wake and the funeral service and the burial at the end of December, and that's how I closed out my year. And this is almost an hour-long video now, and my phone has informed me that I'm almost out of battery. So the last bit of news that I have to tell you, and why I couldn't say a lot of what was in November, is because in October, my partner and I were facing financial issues related to the increasing rent on our apartment, which was already absurdly high. So we decided it would be more financially feasible to look at a house. So we started looking at houses in October, found an amazing one right away that was adorable, went to see it in October, or no, I think we went to see it in September, made an offer on it immediately. The couple, the family who were selling it, accepted our offer immediately, and then we were supposed to move in midway through October and, you know, be all settled by Samhain. And that didn't happen, of course. So there was a lot of stress and a lot of stuff back and forth in October. Oh, you'll be able to move in. Oh, wait, now you can't move in for at least another 3 days. Oh, you're going to be able to move in tomorrow. Oh, no, now we have to wait a week. Oh, no, this. Oh, my God. It was horrible. I couldn't handle it. So long story short, we got the keys to our new home on Halloween morning, which is the last day of the month. So for those of you playing at home, we had to be out of the old apartment by the end of the month. So we had 1 day to move. We spent 13 hours. We got out of the old apartment officially and turned in our keys by 11:30 that night, or 11 or something like that. And we got back to our new home at midnight on the dot, going into November 1st, with my partner's parents' RV that I mentioned earlier that they got earlier in 2018, parked in our driveway, still packed full of our stuff. So we didn't have it all unpacked and in the new house, but we had to be out of the old apartment. And so November, I spent the first 2 days unpacking everything from the RV, and the next 3 weeks just unpacking constantly because my partner had to go to work, just me unpacking, organizing, getting our house together. So we're in a new house. This is a new place. Yeah. So if you're following me on Patreon, you already knew that because you get news before anyone else if you're following me on Patreon. And yeah, that was the other big bit of news. And I'm still not feeling great, you know, following all the family drama and stress and just the pure grief of missing my grandmother so much. And that's why I'm wearing her robe. This is her robe. I have a lot of stuff from her now. Cloth napkins, old photo albums, not the photos. I mean, the photos are being shared with everyone in the family, but the actual small albums, I have those. A bunch of her clothes that nobody else wanted, but that actually fit me. So I'm the sentimental one where I'm wearing her clothes constantly. That's part of how I've been coping. And, but yeah, so that and my continuing insomnia and just all kinds of stuff, you know. I feel like sometimes, like, I don't think I'm stressed. I feel relaxed. I feel calm. But your body knows better. And so relying on the body's intelligence more than what my brain thinks, oh, I'm fine. And your body's like, actually, you're not fine. And so you're not going to sleep, or, you know, you get sick. So right after the funeral, I had been fine, you know, dealing with it as best as possible, doing my crying when I had to. But then after the funeral, I got sick. And I was quite sick, scratchy throat, unable to talk a lot of the time for a couple weeks. So I really didn't know when I was going to be able to get this video done. I do have a video pre-recorded for you featuring my mom when she was still here visiting. So you'll be seeing that next. And yeah. Wow. Give yourself a pat on the back and a huge round of applause if you stuck out this video. Thank you so much for watching. And in the future, when I do, hopefully relatively soon, get together a fundraiser to just, you know, anything anyone can do. If you appreciate my videos, My partner and I are planning on doing a lot of different types of content together, including a podcast, streaming on Twitch, we play video games together, a whole bunch of different types of things, music, poetry, book clubs, all kinds of things. And I just want to be able to edit my videos again, and we need a new computer, we need some good microphones, stuff like that. Absolutely anything you can contribute to that would be a huge help, because we have been raising some money for it ourselves, and we will be continuing to save money toward it, but the sooner we can get it, the better, so this kind of thing can stop. You know, I could actually edit this video and shorten it and not make it this. So when that happens, I haven't made the fundraiser yet, but in the future, when I do, look out for it. Every dollar helps. It's just, you know, something that can help us get this done faster. And I will make sure that you are all thoroughly represented in thanks. I'm planning on like printing out a list of our donors to keep in our studio space, so you will be there forever as part of it. But yeah, so I hope you're all doing well. Much love and many blessings to you for 2019. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.